I'm going to be showing you how to bake your normal map instead of Marmoset Toolbag. So I'm going to be using this sheet as an example to kind of bake. So I've already exported this out on the lowest subdivision level. For this is around 12k, so I need to export out the highest subdivision level now. The highest subdivision level is at 3 million. You can see the details is at 3 million. Poly count is at 3 million. So let me just make sure I'm exporting this correctly. Though I'm more familiar with exporting with baking instead of Marmoset Toolbag 3, but let's try this Marmoset Toolbag 4. Let's see how good it is. But it's still the same method though. So smooth normal turn off group export. Okay, I'll just export this out to shirts high poly. So this might take a while. So I'll probably just come back when this is done. Okay, so we're done exporting this. So let's go to Marmoset Toolbag, then import those two mesh. I already have the low poly already, so let's go back in here. Z export. So English shirt high poly, then English shirt this is low poly version. So let me just drag and drop these two in here. So we have this now successfully imported into Marmoset Toolbag. This is the so let's rename this. Let me make sure I'm naming this properly, low poly, so I know what I'm doing. So let's hide the high poly for now. So I'll come in here, I'll hide it, the high poly. So this is the low poly now. Then we'll come to this bread icon. It's called new bake project. So let's click on that. Then once you click on that, you should have this bake project one in here. So then you have the bake group. So you have the high poly and you have the low poly. So what we're going to do now is to let's micro collapse these two for now. So let's have them like so. So the high poly, drag the high poly. You have to make sure the high poly is kind of inside this high poly group, not outside. This is outside. If I move the cursor, you can see the green line underneath this. That's outside. If I push it this way, that's inside. So outside, inside. So drop this inside. As soon as you drop this inside, you should have this icon to be able to collapse it. That means you did this correctly. But if you're having this outside, if you have this outside, let me outside here like so, it will not be inside this group, and we don't want that. So make sure it's inside this group. Then we'll do the same also for the low poly. Put them in the group, then collapse these two. So now we can let's only visualize the low poly. That's why we kind of turn off the high poly for now. Because if we turn this on now, if we turn on the high poly, because this is the high poly, so let's temporarily hide them for now. Let's just hide them. So you can only see the low poly. Then as soon as you're done, come back in here and click on this big project one. Then come in here. Now the settings for this are not too complicated. So if I should scroll down here, hidden mesh, yeah, this is fine. All this is fine. So samples 4x is fine. If you want more clarity on your normal map, you can actually increase this, but for regular normal map, 4x is actually fine. If you want something more refined, you can use 16. Then we can apply softening filter to the big surface. This will be useful for smoothing borders around floaters and add edges. So we can just reduce this. We can just increase this rather. So leave this increased. 8 bp is completely fine for normal map. Then padding, we can leave this padding at moderate. This is fine. Padding size, let's leave it the way it is. Then resolution, let's bake this at 4K resolution. So just click on this arrow, it's gonna go up and down. So 4K resolution is completely fine. So let's specify where we want to save it to. So I'd like to save mine in, let me look for a folder to save this to. I'll just save this outside here. And I want to save this as PNG instead. So shirt normal. So I'll click save. So once we have all this set, okay, configure, we can choose presets here if you want to. You can configure this and add other maps in here if you want. You can make normal map. You can make the normal map, you can make normal object map. Don't know what this is used for, but this is like the main one you need. You can also make curvature map, cavity map, thickness map, ambient occlusion, ID map if you want to. Maybe you need this ID map to use inside of Substance Painter. You can make that also in here. So if you have some color texture on the map, you can also make the color textures from this also. But for now, we only need to be, you can also make height map, displacement map in here. But right now, we only need the normal map, so this is fine. So all of these settings are fine. So all we have to do now is to click on bake and then give this a moment to kind of load up. So it's done baking now. So let's kind of preview if this baked out correctly. So to preview this, we'll just come in here and click on this preview bake output on low poly geometry. So click on that. Awesome. So you can see now how our low poly is looking like the high poly version now. Why? Because it will automatically create a new material and apply the normal map that has just been baked on that material of the low poly, which is in here. So you can see the normal map now being applied to it in here. So let's find where the normal map is. I put it in here. Let's change this view to large icons instead. So this is the normal map in here. So if we should double click on this, that should be opening at the background, but we can see how this baked out accurately without any issues. So this is like basically how you can bake normal maps inside of inside of Substance, instead of Marmoset Toolbag rather. Let's say for example you want a more title, a tight, is it actually in here? Yeah, let's say you want a title baking on this. You want the baking to be a bit tighter. So if you click on the low poly, you see this baking cage, so you just have to see maximum. So the maximum offset, just take this down instead. You take this down instead. So it's a bit closer to the mesh, kind of. Then you can now do a bake again for this if you want to. But this is just one way of fixing, you're kind of creating bakes for. But by default, the default values are just completely fine. You don't even need to make any adjustment. The default is usually fine. So if you look at our normal map in here now, so this is the normal map we just baked, which is working correctly. So this is just basically how to bake. I can see the padding we have. You can see the padding we created for this. See the padding on the edges. This padding on the edge of the UV. So if you go back to Marmoset Toolbag, if you want to kind of turn off the padding, go back to this bake project. Then if you can scroll down to padding, you can put that at none and then bake, and you'll be having any padding on the edges of the UV shell.